morning. I'm in Barcelona, which you can't at all tell from the background. I'm on my way to the Sagrada Familia, and I was going to wait and film this then. But this morning I got up, and the forecast is a high of 17 and rain. Barcelona! And it does feel like it could start raining at any moment. So I'm filming this now, because I don't know if I can film it later. Oh, I should check my map. Hold on. I found it! All I could think was my mom would be so disappointed by the scaffolding. I'm gonna go back after and get pants and a sweater. Barcelona, I had such high hopes. So same building, opposite side. This side looks like it's melting. This is the side that I go in. I've got like 20 minutes before my entrance time because I am early. Surprise! So the hostel where I'm staying, that's my room key. And I can like wear it around, I can get it wet. I slept with it. I think it's a great idea. So I changed. But this matches my pants now, so that's delightful. It's the small things. So I suspect this will be a fairly unpopular opinion, but I found the Sagrada Familia fairly underwhelming. It felt very modern right off the bat. Everything was smooth and even, and stark isn't the right word, because there are huge stained glass windows everywhere and they let in a lot of light and a lot of warm light. So it didn't feel stark, it wasn't cold. And then there were these huge pillars, and it was designed to feel like a forest, and it does, and it goes up way high, but there's no shrubbery that goes with the forest, if that makes sense. It's just these giant stone smooth pillars. The whole thing felt vast and hollow, and they don't let you in the crypt, and they don't, like, it was so restricted. There's nothing else there. You stand and it's just this empty forest of stone. I bought a thing to eat. It's a pastry thing. It looks like there's some sort of cheese on top. There could be anything inside. I found this fun square. Fountains and statues and so many birds. I found another market. This is more my kind of church. They let us on the roof. They put this scaffolding stuff up all over the roof, and we can just walk around, and it's a cool view. I wish it was sunny, but that's fine. So I'm all for the cathedral. Who cares about that other one? Also, I met those two people. They were very nice. There's a duck pond in the middle of the cathedral. I just went on a walking tour. It was great. The guide was wonderful. I learned a lot, but it's been raining, and I'm so cold. So I think today's done. I'm gonna go find some food, and then I'm just gonna go back to the hostel and be warm. So yesterday during my walking tour, we came to see this building. I was on a specifically Gaudi tour, and so he designed that building. It was the last private building he ever designed because everybody hated it, including the woman who paid for it. Well, her husband paid for it, but it was her money. Not after they got married, it wasn't. The point is that we were wandering all over, and we took the metro a couple times during the tour, and I had no idea where we were for any of it. And then this morning, I'm going to the metro, so I turned a different way out of my hostel to go find the metro, and 2 blocks from my hostel, I found this nice building. Also, look, it's not raining, there's sun. Well, I got off at the right stop, but do I have any idea which direction I'm facing or which direction I need to go? No, I do not. I did figure it out, look. That's where we're going. That's that fountain behind me that you can't really see anymore, but I couldn't film near because it's a fountain and it was much too loud. Is the magic fountain? There's a light show at the fountain at some point, but I don't know quite when, and I suspect I will be far away from here at that point. But it's pretty spectacular during the day, so I don't really need a light show. It was fine as is. Look at it, everything is so pretty. So that magnificent building behind the fountain was the National Art Museum of Catalunya, yep. It's a bit much for one visit, which they acknowledge in the fact that with your one ticket, you get to go back a second time, but I'm not going back tomorrow, and that's it. So I spent almost 3 hours in there. It was a lot. So the first section was Gothic art. Almost all of the signs were in Catalan and Spanish. There was one guy, Anthony something Ballard. He was a private collector who has given, lent, or sold several pieces to the museum, and I don't know if or why he stipulated that his pieces also had to have an English part of the explanation, but I am very appreciative. And then the next section was Romanesque. A bunch of churches, you know, when they would paint the frescoes like directly onto the stone, in the 70s they found a way to take the paintings off, and so they've like kind of rebuilt the insides of these different churches in there and then put up. So it's just like kind of blank walls until it's anything that was worth saving they then brought, but they're like up in the archways and on the walls and in the domes. It was actually really cool to walk through. I watched the video to see how they did it, and like it seems insane that it actually worked, because like they took part of the stone wall and anyway. But I can't help but picture these now like stripped churches. On the one hand, I get it. A museum is much better able to help preserve these paintings, and having them in Barcelona makes them accessible to more people who wouldn't necessarily travel out to the tiny villages. Certainly I wouldn't. But it is certainly a loss for those individual communities, and if they didn't have a say in it, if it was just some big government that came in and took it and didn't give them anything back, then it's all tricky. It's all tricky. And from there I went to the modern art sections. Thankfully at that point a large chunk of it was furniture, and like I don't care. Art Nouveau, whatever. I'm happy to walk through and glance at stuff, but there was nothing in me that needed to pretend to be interested in those chairs. I tend to just kind of like look at stuff, but I don't stop unless something grabs my attention. And the first thing that did was this portrait of a woman. Then I look and I see who's the painter and what it's called. And it's called Laura, which I thought was great. Not least because then I was like, oh, she has a name, because most don't. In almost all the paintings of women, the subjects didn't get names. The paintings were titled Portrait of a Girl, Before the Ball, Portrait of a Woman with a Shawl, a Hat, and a Parasol. The portrait on the brochure is Woman from Granada. There were some paintings of men that received the same nameless treatment, but they were usually men of color. Warrior in repose, Arab praying, male figure, and the vast majority of paintings with human subjects were of women. The exception being the room of self-portraits, where it's just men and like one woman. There were a few portraits of white men, but usually it was a case of the subject having commissioned an artist to paint their portrait. And I get it, women are pretty objects to be looked at, but men are people and they get to decide who looks at them and in what context. So I was getting more and more annoyed, and the painting that really put me over the edge, it was a family. They were sitting probably on their doorstep. There was a man eating lunch and his wife holding a baby who was breastfeeding, and then their daughter standing in front of the man talking to him. And it was called Workers' Dinner. There are 3 other people in that portrait. It's not called Family at Rest, Family Eating Lunch, Woman's Work is Never Done, because you know who made that food. No, just Workers' Dinner. And he just gets to be a worker. It's not male workers' dinner, like woman farmer picking cabbages. So lots of cool art. So I'm using Google Maps to find the castle, because on the paper tourist map that my hostel gave me, there's a giant Backpackers Night Out ad over top the park where I'm hanging out today, so that is not helpful. What Google Maps did tell me was that this park is a hill. I wear jeans. No regrets. How cool is that? Google Maps took me up a grassy hill with no path to this dirt path, and like, I'm the blue dot on the blue dotted line, so I'm going the right way. I like it, but I don't know what's going on. I'm back on a road. And that sign is for the castle. Thanks, Google Maps. There's a gondola. There's a gondola to the top of this hill. Why am I walking? I found the sea and the castle. So I went up to the booth and I asked for 1 ticket, just like that. English. Didn't even try my Spanish. And then he asked if I wanted a program in French. In French. I don't know what's happened to my accent, but it wasn't what I expected. So I'm not allowed in there, but the door is open, and so that's a cross, but its reflection is the Jewish star. I'm so impressed. How did they do that? I wish I could go in there and look. Castles are great for views. So guess who spent the last 2 days realizing she knows nothing about the Spanish Civil War? Mostly I'm just talking about nothing so that you can see this castle because it's really cool. There's a cool art thing going on by Clara Gassiet. So I just went through a little museum thing. Apparently there have been a lot of wars in Spain. Unfortunately, I'm like at capacity for absorbing new information thanks to that art place. I do wish I knew more. The top of this castle is very flat. I like it. There's a mystery choir behind the shrub. I found my way down the mountain and back onto the map, and just in time because my phone is dead. This isn't even on my tourist map. It's just a blank square. How many castles do you have? Just so many you don't bother putting them on the tourist maps. God damn it, I wish Pokemon Go worked on my phone. Do you see the silver rings? I like them. They're cool. The Extra Castle is a Titanic museum in Barcelona. I'm confused. That guy's on my tourist map. They have outdoor escalators here. Outdoor escalators. Who knew? I mean, they're definitely showing where from the sun. Like, the black handles are just cracked all the heck. So I'm in Park Güell. It's the name of Gaudi's patron. The park is free after 8, which is why I'm here now. I haven't found anything specifically Gaudi yet, but I imagine I'll know it when I see it. Found it. Good morning. It's Sunday, my last day here in Barcelona. I found the sun. This market must just happen on Sundays, because I was here 2 days ago and none of this was here. The square was empty. But it's a very pretty square. I'll do a nice circle for you. There are some nice old men standing behind me, so you'll get to see them too. My tour just ended. It was very informative. I learned that Catalonia is the region and Catalan is the language. I also learned that apparently I've grown up thinking that the only geese that are geese are Canadian geese and that all other ones are just giant white ducks. And then everyone else was like, they're geese. And I was like, there's a duck pond. And I felt really dumb. Runner Bean Tours. I highly recommend it if you're ever in Barcelona. It was the same company that did the Gaudi one that I did yesterday. I'm gonna go check out that church. So this church is called the Santa Maria del Mar. All the local working class people, they either donated money or their labor, and they managed to build this church in 54 years. And it's like, and they just had mass, and there are actually people using it as a church. I'm on my way to find a beach. It's my last warm day. I'm going to find the beach. I found the beach. There are a few more people than there were in Malaga. This was where the king lived back when there was a king of Catalonia. That's why that tower up there is designed to look like a crown. This is St. Mary's Chapel. It was built by James II, and all of these royals need to stop intermarrying and having the same name. This is my hostel, and they've been listening to Michael Bublé while they clean. Like, it's the first album. I know all the words. Anyway, I'm just coming out here onto the street to say, that's it. Goodbye, Barcelona. Hope you've had fun. I've had fun, especially once I stop raining. Subscribe to find out where I go next. Bye. I don't have it. No.